Come closer. Pick up these two magnets. Right now, try to force the two like poles together. What do you feel? There's something in between, isn't there? A cushion of air, an invisible spring. You are pushing with all your might. Your hands are shaking, your muscles are tense, but they stubbornly refuse to touch. When you let go, snap, they fly apart. And then you turn to me, eyes wide with curiosity, and you ask, why? Why do they repel? It is a wonderful question, a perfectly reasonable question, and it is also a question that is completely impossible to answer, at least not in the way you are expecting. You see, when you ask me why, what do you really want? Do you want me to say that magnets repel for the same reason that two stretched rubber bands pull back, or like two gears turning in opposite directions? You want me to explain this strange, ghostly phenomenon using something normal, something familiar that you encounter every day. You want a comparison to make you feel safe. But I have to be honest with you. The world is not made of rubber bands. It is not run by gears. And if I used those things to explain this to you, I would be cheating you. Let me show you the trap of the question, why? Suppose you ask me, why is Aunt Minnie in the hospital? I answer, because she slipped on the ice and broke her hip. That answer satisfies you. You know what ice is. You know what slipping is. You understand how the world works. The story ends there. But if you were a visitor from another planet who knew nothing of Earth, you would ask, why does slipping cause broken bones? Why is ice slippery? If I answer ice is slippery because when you stand on it, the pressure melts a thin layer of water and you slide. You would ask again, why is water slippery? Why does ice expand when it freezes while other substances contract? Do you see the problem? The chain of why is infinite. To have a satisfying answer, we must stop at a place that both you and I accept as obvious truth. We need a common framework. But with magnets, we don't have that common framework. We are standing at the absolute bottom floor of reality. Let's do a small experiment. Put your hand on the table. Right now, push hard. Why doesn't your hand go through the table? You'll laugh and say, Professor, that's a silly question, because the table is solid. It's packed tight. Wrong. That table is not solid at all. Science has proven that an atom is mostly empty space. If you scaled an atom up to the size of a giant cathedral, the nucleus would be a mere housefly hovering in the center, and the electrons would be tiny dust motes drifting way up in the dome. Everything in between? Empty. Void. Your hand is made of atoms. The table is made of atoms. That means empty space is pushing against empty space. So why don't they pass through each other? The answer is the electromagnetic force. The electrons in your hand carry a negative charge. The electrons in the table also carry a negative charge. When you bring your hand close, billions upon billions of those electrons scream out, "Stay away from me." That feeling of hardness, of solidity that you feel at your fingertips, that is not matter touching matter. That is the repulsion of electric fields. You have never actually touched anything in your entire life. You are simply hovering on a cushion of electromagnetic force. And here's the most ironic thing, the thing that should keep you awake tonight. The force stopping your hand from going through the table is the exact same force that is pushing these two magnets apart. It is one and the same, not similar, not a distant cousin. It is the identical fundamental force. So why? Why is it that when you push on the table it feels normal, obvious, but when you hold the magnets it feels mysterious, magical? The answer lies in distance. When you touch the table, the repulsion happens at a microscopic distance, too small for the eye to see 100 millionth of a centimeter. Your brain is fooled. It labels that phenomenon solidity. But with magnets, thanks to the special alignment of electrons in the iron, they all spin in the same direction. This force is amplified and magnified. It acts across a large distance, a centimeter, an inch. Your eyes see the gap. You see nothing in between. But your hands feel the force. And so your intuition screams, impossible. There must be a mechanical connection. There must be something pushing it. The weirdness is not in the physics. The weirdness is in your psychology. You are comfortable with electromagnetism at close range, and you are terrified of electromagnetism at long range. That's all it is. Now, if I tried to make you happy, if I said, oh, magnets attract like they are connected by rubber bands, I would be a swindler. Because if you asked me, why do rubber bands stretch? I would have to answer, because of the binding forces between the rubber molecules. And what is that force? It is the electromagnetic force. Do you see? If I use rubber bands to explain magnets, I am using electromagnetism to explain electromagnetism. It is a circular argument. I cannot explain the fundamental using the complex structures built from it. So, I cannot answer your why in the way you want. Magnetic force is fundamental. It is the bedrock of the universe. There are no gears, no pulleys, nothing underneath it. It exists. That is how this universe is written. We physicists cannot tell you why it exists in a philosophical sense, but we can tell you how it works. We have beautiful equations to calculate it to the decimal point. We understand it well enough to build generators, MRI machines, and the very device you are using to hear me right now. That is real understanding, not seeking a cheap analogy to comfort your intuition, but accepting the truth that human intuition, which evolved only to pick fruit and avoid predators, is too small to grasp the quantum laws of the cosmos. So, pick up those magnets one more time. Don't feel frustrated that I didn't give you an easy answer. Instead, feel the shiver. Feel that invisible push and realize you are directly feeling one of the four most powerful pillars holding up this entire reality. You are touching the heartbeat of the universe. That is not a mystery to be solved with cheap metaphors. That is a miracle to be observed with absolute respect.